What's up, airplane collectors? Welcome to a model airplane review. I'm your host, Ray. Today I'll be reviewing the Gemini 200 banana bus. Wait, oh, that's the wrong banana. I'm terribly sorry about that. That's more like it. As I was saying, today I'll be reviewing the Gemini 200 Spirit Airlines Airbus A321NEO, item G2NKS 1254, released in February of 2024. In this video, I'll do a review of the model, after which I will list off its pros and cons. At the end, I will decide whether or not I recommend this model to other collectors. The box for this model is a standard issue Gemini 200 box measuring 23 centimeters long, 23 centimeters tall, and 7.5 centimeters wide. I'll show you around the box now. Here's the front, bottom, right side, top, left side, and the back side. The exterior of this box is made from cardboard. The protective packaging on the inside is made from white foam. Included in the box is the model as shown here, fully assembled, painted, and ready to display. Also included is this pathetic excuse for a display stand. This display stand is completely inadequate to support the weight of this model. To make matters worse, the part that goes into the belly of the model to hold it up in place doesn't even fit in all the way. And the assembly of this stand, it's very flimsy. This part is made from plastic and it's very, very easy to break. So if you would like to display this model on a display stand, I highly recommend purchasing a different stand. Otherwise, you risk, one, not being able to display your model on this stand because it won't fit, and if for some reason you do get it to fit, the model could fall over and sustain irreparable damage. Here's the model itself. Let's do a quick 360. The fuselage length for this model is 22.5 centimeters, the wingspan is 17.7 centimeters, and the height is 6.6 centimeters. These dimensions are accurate to 1 to 200 scale. This model is made primarily out of die-cast metal. The wheels on the landing gear are made out of rubber. Let's begin with the fuselage. The nose shape on this model isn't very accurate to the A321 at all. I think the lower part of the nose here is just too long, and just the shape isn't correct, and that really doesn't look too good. And it's very noticeable however you look at the aircraft. In terms of other details here, there's lots of other details. As you can see, lots of small placards and what appear to be pitot tubes. I'm going to move down the fuselage now. Here we start to see the large Spirit title. There's the overwing exits. Wow, those actually feature a lot of detail on them. So the fuselage features a lot of printed detail. The shape of the fuselage itself isn't really accurate, but the details, I think they do make up for that in a way. Also, the paint color and paint application seems to be pretty good. Here's the vertical stabilizer. Overall, this looks pretty decent. The printing on it with the Spirit title looks good. Paint application seems consistent as well. Once again, paint color is the same as the fuselage, and both are accurate. I do see that the top here, you guys can barely see that, but the top here is slightly angled forward. This should not be like that. The top part of the vertical stabilizer should be parallel to the fuselage, and it's not, so I guess there was a small inaccuracy with the tooling here. Here's the right side of the aircraft. I won't provide as much commentary here because it's pretty similar to the left side, and everything I've said about the left side also applies to the right side. So far we found a few issues here and there, but nothing too crazy. Alright, so I want to take our attention here to the cockpit windows. I do see that this cockpit window, the frame is very, very close to overlapping with the raccoon mask here. I don't think that's supposed to be like that. It appears as though I spoke too soon with regards to the paint application. I do see some, I'm not sure what this is, but some texturing in the paint here. It's kind of hard to notice, but looks like this banana is a little bit overripe. The wings on this model are pretty solid as per usual. There's lots of detail on them. There's plenty of recessed line details for the control surfaces, especially on the trailing edge of the wing. All of these appear to be clearly defined. There's no paint filling them, so good job on Gemini Jets for that. The printed detail in the form of the overwing exits and just the wing placards, those look pretty good as well. And the different paint colors throughout the wing, those also look pretty good. Paint application on the wing seems to be doing well too. Now, on the underside of the right wing here, there's no printed detail because there doesn't really need to be, but still it is definitely not lacking in detail. There's lots of recessed lines for the control surfaces, as you can see here, and still a few different paint colors here and there. So pretty good job from Gemini here. Now the sharklets on this model, the shape is good. Here, the shape is actually, wow, the shape is actually really good on this one here on the left side. Paint application seems to be pretty consistent as well. And of course, on the inside of the sharklets, we have the signature Howdy title there. That looks pretty good. And on the right side, this one seems to be pretty good as well. If the camera would, there you go. You guys can see that one pretty good. Yeah, this one turned out pretty nice as well. And then, as always, here is the Howdy title on the inside. Unfortunately, though, the issue with these sharklets is that they are angled too far upwards. They shouldn't be pointing straight up. They should have a slight angle outwards, if that makes sense. So the shape is good. It's just the angle at which they're situated at relative to the wing is just too high. Moving on to the horizontal stabilizers, and evidently I didn't clean these very well because there's a ton of dust on them. But the horizontal stabilizers on this model look pretty good. Here we can see some printed detail on there. That looks good. Yeah, no complaints. I don't see anything defective per se. The joint with the fuselage is decent. It's not the best. It's not the worst. I do see some yellow paint poking out through some of the gray here, and also this large recess or indentation into the fuselage where the horizontal stabilizers go. That is a little bit bigger than it should be, but it's not terrible. I won't harp on it too much. Here's the bottom. There's the APU access doors. Those are slightly off center from the looks of it, so I seriously hope that doesn't have any other implications for the printed details. And then back here we have the APU. No exhaust hole, interestingly. I'm used to seeing exhaust holes, but I guess this one doesn't have it. It's no biggie though. Moving on to the engines. The engines look decent. Okay, I may have spoken too soon. What the heck happened here? Youch, that is a pretty decent gap between the yellow part of the nacelle here and then the engine inlet here, or the engine intake. Yikes, I haven't seen that before. Okay. The engine pylon is pretty good. There's lots of detail in there with the different gray and silver paint. The exhaust nozzles look pretty good. Painted multiple colors of silver. That's always nice to see. The nacelle, the shape looks good. There's the Spirit.com titles. The fans are decent. They're supposed to spin. This one's a bit stiff. And there's also supposed to be, not spinner spirals, but you can kind of see like a comma there. This one barely got printed on there, so you can barely see it, and it's not even centered, so that's kind of annoying to see. But on the left side, oh my god. I don't know what happened. I guess this thing suffered a bird strike. Okay, obviously that's not what a bird strike would do to this thing, but yeah, the spinner's marking there got really messed up, but hey, at least this one spins a bit more freely. And yeah, here's the left engine. Here you can see those giant engine strakes. Those look pretty good. And on the bottom of the engines, or on the nacelles rather, there is a lot of printed detail, so that's good to see. But overall, the engines kind of suffered on this one. This model features three-dimensional details on the fuselage in the form of antennas and gemmed lights. On the front of the aircraft, on the top of the aircraft at least, we have this large antenna here. This looks pretty good, no complaints. All of the antennas in this model are actually really good, and I didn't see any of them detached or bent. On the top center of the fuselage here, we have a gemmed light. It's painted red. This looks good. And back here, we have some more antennas, another one of these large antennas, and then a smaller one here. All of these look good. On the bottom of the aircraft, we have a wider range of antennas. Here we have this smaller one right here. This looks pretty good. It might be bent slightly backwards, but not by too much. Moving to the center of the fuselage, we have our display stand hole right here, and right in front of it is a gemmed light. This is good. And then there's another small antenna right here. If the camera would focus, there you go. It's the same shape as the one we just saw before, the gemmed light. That one's good. And then another one of these large antennas here. Oh, there's a hair on there and evidently some dust nearby. Okay, there we go. It's just some dust. Yeah, this looks fine. And then lastly back here we have this antenna right here. So like I said, all of the antennas are attached firmly, and I don't have any complaints really. Here's the bottom half of the fuselage. Down here we can see that there's a lot of printed detail to go around. The yellow paint job of the fuselage really helps to bring out some of that printed detail. Like here on the front of the fuselage, there's lots going on, especially near the cargo hold doors. And then there's more going on back here. So Gemini did a really good job on including printed detail, but with regards to alignment, I'm not 100% sure. What I'm referring to is the APU access doors. Here's the main gear. The landing gear on this model is permanently extended, and as mentioned earlier, the wheels are made out of rubber and they all roll smoothly, so that's nice to see. The struts seem to be consistent. They're not snapped or compromised or anything, and the landing gear do a good job of holding up the model if you were to display it on its landing gear. The nose gear is pretty good as well. The wheels roll and they're made out of rubber. The detail on the door seems to be pretty consistent, and the strut itself is nicely detailed. The wheel does pivot in a rather limited range, but it is pretty cool that the wheel pivots at all. All right, staring contest, don't blink. So the engine clearance looks good, wing flex looks good, same deal with the horizontal stabilizers. The vertical stabilizer looks like it's off at an angle towards the right side of the aircraft. And also that nose gear, what's going on there? It looks like it's bending or something. But surprisingly enough, the cockpit window printing seems to be mostly symmetrical, so that's good to see. Rather unusual from model airplane manufacturers these days. Overall up here, so far, mostly good. Assembly quality seems to be mostly adequate. That concludes my review. Now it's time for pros and cons. I'm sorry, I keep confusing the two. Alright, so anyway, what does this model do well? Well, the paint colors are accurate. There's a lot of detail on it, especially printed detail. Gemini usually does very good with their printed details. With regards to the shape and the tooling used to make this model, it's not the most accurate. I can't deny that. But it's still decent. Like the nose shape, that I can't excuse, but the rest of the model, especially the wings, and usually the engines are a bit better, but the wings especially, those are really good. In terms of cons, well, we did see some quality control, some small quality control imperfections. We did see that there was some paint issue on the rear of the aircraft. It wasn't terrible, though. And also, whatever happened on the engines, I can't even explain that. That was really strange. So taking all this into consideration, I do recommend this model. It's still pretty decent with its defects nonetheless. It's not perfect. There's no model that's ever going to be perfect, but it's still pretty good, and it's our only option as of right now. So I do recommend it. Just be wary of those issues that I pointed out, and you should be good to go. Well, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. As always, if you have comments or feedback, be sure to leave a comment down below. If you're new to the channel, feel free to check out my other videos about model airplanes and their comparisons. And if you'd like to show the channel some support, go ahead, like this video, and subscribe so you never miss another upload. Happy building, happy collecting, thanks for watching, please take good care of yourselves, and I will see you next time. And don't forget to eat your fruits so you can grow up and be strong. If you're young, that is. And if you're older, well, keep eating your fruits so that you stay healthy.